Peach Podcast Syndicate, Parkway Automotive Studios, The Dream Show Live, Stephen Aiken, Isaac Stackhouse.
What to do?
My introduction is this. Sorry, introduction is this. Hey.
So we're here.
I don't know if that's the right intro to play for you, being the intro guy. Wednesday, 10 a.m. We did a cold 10 a.m. start today.
Hard 10 a.m.
We said 10-ish to everybody. So if you're late, then you missed the boat on that little cool part of the show. Yeah, a lot of jiu-jitsu news, I guess, that all pertains to one thing. And I guess I told you I wanted to go into that first because I am the king of going off on a 30, 45 minute tangent, I feel like, where I'm just like, and snap out of it and then the show's over, you know? So I wanted to talk about the who's number one thing because overall it was amazing. Like, it was so cool to see so many high level grapplers of, you know, sizes and weights and everything, just, you know, going at it with a fairly open rule set. The regulations were like 15 minutes and then the finals matches were 30. And what I saw was like, man, a lot of the older people are definitely on their way out. Like, I don't think any of the winners were over 30.
What was the oldest winner?
I think Tim Spriggs is probably the oldest at 30,
Yeah.
which surprised me to see that Tim Spriggs is only 30. It's like, he's been out there for a long time. He used to be really dominant back, a few years ago, but I guess, like they said in the show, he had been mostly taking some time off, I guess, and doing other things, but came back and basically ran through the heavyweight division. You know, surprised me. He definitely wasn't my pick, but Tim's tough. You know, he's taken out a couple of the guys before and beaten a couple of those guys in other formats, but he had not historically been known as a finisher per se. He'd been like a really positionally dominant guy, and he came out and got a couple of leg locks on guys, you know, that I'm not sure they expected from him. And so I think that's what the deal was. Is like, they didn't really expect that game from him, and he was on it, and he got like $32,000 and a belt, you know what I mean? Which was amazing. You know, I think that's the most money I've ever heard of from a tournament.
I was gonna say, like, what the payout? What was the payout?
I think total they were saying like $250K.
That's a lot
over all the divisions, which is still a lot. Like, that's what I mean. I'm not trying to say anything about that. But it was really cool to see that. But outside of that, like, there were the guy, Cole Abate, who came out against Gio and was just like so explosive with his attacks, like right away, just like.
Inside question, and I know you know the brothers well enough to maybe you would be, is Gio's knee okay?
I haven't asked yet.
You haven't found out?
Yeah, I haven't asked him yet. But if he pulled out, then he's definitely got to be hurt, in my opinion.
Bro.
Like, I don't think he would have pulled out any other way.
That looked like,
I guess that would be my insider's like opinion if I had one.
That's kind of more of what I meant, was like, you know him, and it was like that looked like that.
It looked nasty a couple times, man, and I was worried for him. But dude, he's so tough, obviously. These guys are just super, like, this is how you get to be the best in the world, right? There's a difference between like saying stuff and then going out there and actually like risking life and limb to prove, you know, a point that, you know, you're the best. And you know, unfortunately, it just wasn't his day. That kid came out like a freaking buzzsaw, man. And it was like, you know, it was his opportunity, and it was, you know, 16. But from what I had read or kind of heard, I think he'd been training technically longer than Gio had, and Gio's like 34, you know, but he's not been training 10 years. I don't think, barely 10 years, maybe overall. Just, you know, as an adult, he adapted it and started training, which is no like excuse or whatever. It's just like an interesting thing to see that these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, like, you know, him, and then in the, I think was the 85 division where it was Rotolo and Galvo that came in and they're both like 18 and 17 and 18, and they were in the finals of the 85 division.
But I mean, that's 17 and 18-year-olds that have trained, like you're saying,
for like forever, like literally their whole lives. Which was cool, but that match was really frustrating. That finals match between I think that's Ty, Ty, and
I watched the highlight of it. I didn't catch it live.
Like it was 30 minutes, and so this is where the argument of like, oh, time or whatever comes into play, because people are just gonna stretch out 30 minutes. If you give them 30 minutes, or if you do 6, they'll try to condense it to 6, and then either person can say something about the time and you know who's stalling, if neither guy's really trying to do anything, but you're both really just smart and not committing to the thing that's going to get you beat, because this is, you know, $30,000, you know, that's on the line in a big title that they would get. So it's hard to say, but it really like one was Ty was just like pushing and doing the like, I don't know. There's this thing that a lot of guys do, and I guess it's an ADCC kind of style thing where they're like pushing and almost like an offensive lineman or whatever, kind of like, or they'll like just club your head just to club your head. There's no follow
just to frustrate you.
Yeah, and just to do it, like to look busy and to be in motion and stuff like that. And it does frustrate people, and it makes people start moving, and it does put the referee and other people looking at the other person as they're not the one that's they're not the one that's engaging and stuff, because they're just not being as aggressive. But that's not really being aggressive if you purposefully don't have a follow-up, you know, because there was a few times that he had him like really off balance, but didn't follow up because the plan was not to follow up. He was really, you know, just trying to frustrate and move him around. And so then that those are the opportunities, I guess, at the highest level to get past. You know, the kid was really flexible. He stapled him wide open, but wouldn't, whatever kind of pass. And so it literally went on, I think, the whole time, and got a decision. And it was extremely boring, you know, to say that. And it wasn't good for the overall vibe of that final show, with so many other really, really good matches that were on it, and good matches throughout the tournament. So that one was kind of a bummer over the tournament. So he submits Dante Leon with 10 seconds left. So he'd already went 15 minutes.
It's a 19-minute video to get to a 10-second like play out.
And so, you know, it's just he took that long to get the tap. And at the highest level, you know, that's fair to say that it could take that long for him to wear him down and to do stuff like that. But in the finals, he literally, you know, he didn't have any real attacks at all that were close in a 30-minute match, and he won, you know, this big title. And the referee was like almost on the verge of being disrespectful to them, like, you're embarrassing yourself. There's so many people watching and stuff like that. He was saying it in the middle of the match, which is like, I get the entertainment part of it that everybody's pushing for, right? That was part of what they told him in their contracts. You're here to be exciting. We're going to tell you to push forward, you know, not to be boring and different stuff like that. But what they did is still stretched it out to that fake, like, push, snap, check in, all that kind of stuff, and didn't really commit to anything for some time, and then finally went in as time was going down or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But in other matches, you know, there was some really, really cool stuff, as in, who was it? Jacob Couch submitted Roberto Jimenez, right, in the first round. That was the first round matchup, I think, that he got him in.
Tackett.
No, that was Tackett. That's the third place match.
How do they have this organized?
I think that's the finals at the top. So where you want to be getting all the way down towards the bottom.
The bottom.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. He got him with a heel hook. Roberto.
There were a lot more. The leg attacks were interesting. And do you think that's like from what you're talking about, the generational thing?
Well, it's a lot more in the game now that people have, and you have to be able to have it. Yeah, so I don't think it was necessarily more than it had been.
Couch versus blank. What round is that?
No, that's in the
This bracket doesn't make sense how they have it
that
organized.
has no sense to it.
Like it's just kind of like thrown up there. Is it in an order?
No, it doesn't look like it's in any order.
Doesn't even give me. All right. Well, I was pretty impressed with the quality of the streams and everything, but this is a little bit frustrating to try to look at the. Like, why isn't it just in bracket form?
You probably have to go to like the other thing.
You probably have to be on the paid site.
Oh, you're not on the paid site.
No, okay. I'm not logged in.
Oh, that's all your fault then, bro.
I mean, I could be. I just didn't log it in. I didn't think about it.
Okay, so either way, Roberto Jimenez got something about. I think it was him, the Hillbilly Hammer. That's his name. I think that's what
okay.
That cat. Heel hooked him, knocked him out, opened up the 85 division, and then that's what I said. Went down to the Tower Tolo. Meek and Galvao, two young guys. Super boring match though. I think I went to sleep. Promise.
I fell asleep. Yeah,
I was falling asleep, which was unfortunate because I was trying to be really excited for the show. Another match that was really long but was really interesting was Grace Gundrum and Mayasa Bastos.
That was a really good match.
Really pulling for Grace, obviously, as a 10th Planet representative in Black Belt. Wanted her to see her pull off the victory, and get the win. But it just wasn't in the cards. Mayasa was really tough and just has her number right now, I guess. That was the second time she kind of got the decision win on her. And it felt like to me that Grace was really pushing really hard, trying to like press the action, but just late in the match got reversed somehow, mounted and like stuck in like a head and arm kind of position, and then lost several minutes of the the last few minutes, a couple minutes of the last 5 minutes, and that was basically like it. But she had a twister in her semifinals match, I think, against Danielle Kelly, which was really cool to see. She did some nice transitions, to the truck, the kamikaze, and then to the twister from that. So that was really cool to see somebody pull off at a high level. She's obviously been competing in these bigger tournaments since forever, since she was a really small child. But congratulations to Bastos. She's on her game right now, and she's looks like the best in the world at that weight class for sure, pretty consistently right now. Other notable matches was like Tex Johnson versus Orlando Sanchez.
The slam.
Dude.
Was there a tap?
He was about to tap. If he didn't tap, it looked like he was tapping, but he was stuck for sure. He wasn't going to get out of it. That's why he went to slam him. But Tex was, still like curled up and stayed safe somehow and didn't get injured. And so slams were illegal in this tournament. Some places will let you slam. The rule in some things is that you need to let go if you're the guy throwing up a triangle and you get picked up, you should let go. And for the most part, that's a good rule to follow. I think that's a pretty solid rule to have. Is that if somebody's starting to pick you up over their waist or whatever, I would start to let go, because I'm not trying to get spiked on my head, even on accident. And especially somebody that's like 300 pounds, like Orlando Sanchez.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sentiment of that, but I mean, he's slamming himself deeper here, is he not? When he goes to pick him up and lifts him right about, when does he start to do it?
Here.
There. Does that not just slam you deeper into a triangle? That's a tap.
Yeah. I think the referee was asking him to stop. So I don't know. It looks weird. Yeah, I mean, he did. He slammed it deeper, but maybe he was hoping that Tex would let go. Like maybe that was he knew he was kind of stuck, so that was his only way out, was to hope that he would let go, or maybe that in the slam he shook him up.
I feel like if you spike a guy, like if you do the whole, like you take him up, you turn him and you spike him on his head, it's effective.
I mean, yeah, but
that's the illegal part. I think if you're picking somebody up and slamming them flat on their back, you're just slamming yourself
like a power bomb from wrestling.
Yeah. I don't think it works personally, but I was told that a lot coming up, so that might just be my white belt coming out.
I don't trust that.
But you and I are in totally different weight classes too. So like I may be thinking about that from a weight class that like, no, I would definitely not let Orlando Sanchez just come slamming down on top of me. If he picked me up, I would 100% let go.
I mean, yeah, but isn't all right. But then, so I would still do it if it's somebody was smaller, like 200 pounds can pick me up. I'll still let go.
But then are you considering your body weight in that, like coming down on you? Are you worried about you coming down on yourself as well? Like the way you might come down? I'm just saying I'm okay with getting thrown on my back.
Guess that's the whole point, right? Is that I'm worried about myself in this situation. Are you worried about yourself when you're playing defense? Or are you worried about somebody else? Yeah, I'm thinking about all the.
But I mean, if I've got it locked in and I know I'm gonna lock it, like,
is this me?
I think it was me. I think it was because you hit the table and it was both of us. Yeah, you're too much strength.
I am too much strength.
We got Seth and Robert. Or I mean, that's Christian. Ooh. Seth and Christian are up in here.
Christian Robert.
Yeah.
Robert Christensen. What's up, guys?
So
welcome to the show here. So yeah,
who's number one? We're talking who's number one.
Slammed him straight into the triangle. Dude, I'm not letting somebody slam me on my back.
Yeah.
I feel like that may pop a rib or something crazy even. You know, just something
possibly,
things you don't see coming.
I'm not saying this plan hasn't backfired on me before.
All right. Fair enough. I think we could just kind of leave it at that.
What other? There was.
I'm really hyped for Kendall Roosing.
Yeah,
my homie. She ended up taking second. Unfortunately, got beat in her finals match by Rafaela Guedes. Atos.
Yeah,
she's like.
I was watching it without volume, but I watched that one.
It was a good match. Super, again, just really tough. Like they were both going after it. Lots of scrambles and near throws and near takedowns and things. And I was really hoping that it was going to be her chance to get out there and get the big win on the big stage. But she wasn't quite able to pull it off. It definitely became this wide open thing when Amanda Levy took out Gabby Garcia on the first day.
That was wild.
That match was awesome, dude. Everybody typically, like the couple of times I've seen Gabby get beat, it's been similar to that, I guess. People get her back and she can't really like make the comeback.
Is that jiu-jitsu playing that? Or
that's 100% jiu-jitsu play for sure. You get the back and like she couldn't finish her because she just was like, and that was like an interesting thing to see too. Is like she had the back fully locked, but Gabby's fingers and big hands just kept like the choke from being enough, even with full like squeeze and everything. She couldn't quite get enough. So I wonder at what point would which one give out, before the finish would actually come into play and something like that. Like that's, but then now we're talking about maybe going hours,
yeah, I mean, like then you start arguing the entertainment versus the art aspect of, like you said. I mean, you're talking. I mean, would I watch it the whole time? I'd have my phone on and I'd watch a stream.
If they were pushing the whole time, it would be exciting. But it's hard to push hard for an hour and a half.
But I mean, and pushing hard at an hour and 10 minutes looks different than pushing hard 9 minutes in.
For sure. Then I guess that's what I mean. We got to be going for positional exchanges and finishes, not just controlling positions.
So what pushes that pace? Is it rule set?
It's got to be the rule set. It's got to be the referee kind of pushing them. That referee was a little bit annoying, man. Resets so super like frequently before it was even maybe necessary, but then also just like I think pushing people that were doing their best to kind of be in the action sometimes. Like these guys are really freaking good, so you can't just go ham. You know what I mean? They want you to just, it's basically like freaking Dana White of jiu-jitsu out there. You know what I mean? He's like, go forward. He's like, man, he's got my legs, dude. I can't go. Like, I got to back up or I'm done here. You know what I mean? You just want me to get hurt or tapped or whatever? No.
Yes.
Right, exactly. No, I'm backing up. I'm not getting into that exchange right there because I'm not in the best position. So
like what I'm saying is like, what's entertaining? Like, is it
depends on who you ask. I guess. To most people, it's a bunch of exchanges and scrambles and then finishes.
Right.
Before it gets to 10 or 12 minutes deep, probably.
Yeah.
For most people.
I think people get bored at like 13 minutes.
Definitely there's a lag, and then at the end of the 2 days, that's what I was saying with the longer decisions with the 30-minute matches. And then that one, I was just like almost out of it, dude. I was just ready to wake up tomorrow and catch the highlights.
Do you think maybe that they were just doing too many like people in one day, like too many weight class, too many cards, too many, like maybe if it was like you did the heavyweights and the next weight class down this day and that day, like do you think that would change it?
I think it would have been better to keep it without having to go to those 30-minute matches on the final day.
Yeah.
Keeping them at 15 would have made it still good.
So keeping time limits to where there's a cutoff.
And to where there's a reason to be on pace for something. You know what I mean? Unless you're just...
Otherwise, why push it? Why go fast?
Yeah, just wait. Like, all I got to do is wait. If I'm in a dominant position, I just got to wait for you to just die, basically, up under me, you know, which is boring, you know, and people turn it off. And then kind of like I was saying about the Rotolo and Galvo match, that's what I was starting to want to just kind of turn it off. But I really wanted to see the other matches, you know. And
that's where I was multitasking. I would have like, you know, like I like the flow.
Well, my phone, I was trying to stream it to the TV so I could watch it on my TV. But then anytime I would do anything else, trying to multitask, it would take the stream off of the TV. And it was just, you know,
that's
first world problems. It'd be like that. And so then it was Kay Rotolo won the 55 division. We talked about Gio getting taken out by the one teenager. What's his name?
Which one?
Kolobati took out Gio in their first round match. I think with the decision, but he had some really nasty like attacks. And
his knee looked like it was.
He's sore for sure at the very least.
I would imagine.
And then the one thing was like Mikey Musumeci get submitted by Gabriel Souza in the first round, and then you know Souza took it all the way to the finals. You know that was pretty good. Surprised me. I didn't have him going that far either. Obviously, nobody did. I think everybody had Mikey Gio, and that was they didn't want to put them in the first round against each other, but they wanted to set them up on that side so that way it would. All right, you win your first match, you get
play it out,
quicker. You know what I mean? And so Souza just put it on him and passed his guard a couple of times and was just like using a lot of motion. He couldn't get attached to him. He didn't have a sticky connection to him, and he passed north-south. And after a couple of good north-south like settlements, he got in there and got the finish on him. I was like, oh, that was really nice. Push it through, and then it was Cade Rotolo and him in the final, and Cade darsed him. But good performance from Souza, put himself on the map for sure at a higher tier of competition, going out there and submitting Musumeci in that way. I think that was one of the first times I've ever seen that. I don't know but you know, he's a little outsized, but I mean, I guess I heard somewhere that Gio was actually the lightest guy in that division.
Really?
Yeah. As far as what they weighed that day.
Oh, like walking
when
in.
they weighed in. Yeah. Because he walks at 40 something. And so he just went in at what he weighs, you know, and some of those cats weigh 55 or whatever. So there was at least 10 pounds on the natural 55, you know, to the natural 55ers, not the guys that may have cut any weight and whatever. No excuse on that. Right. Just an interesting fact. It's a 55 division. And so, and it was what also Ty Rotolo said is that he's walked in at like 70 something, at like low 70s for 185. And so he was 15 pounds under the max weight limit, just period. So it's interesting. Like all these guys that are cutting all this heavy weight and stuff like that, a lot of times, I'm curious what that's really detrimental, you know, how detrimental that is to people's game, you know, versus people who are going in just fresh and healthy, but maybe 8 pounds underweight or what, you know what I mean? And then if somebody's cutting, then now they're 15 pounds lighter than this other person or something like that. But 7 of those were hard for that guy. What's that? I wonder what that equilibrium is, and I guess for each person it's different, but I'm interested in that. And I have been, we've talked about it a lot too, though. I'm interested in seeing what the feel good athletes kind of can do versus guys that cut, especially when 15-minute matches or whatever that matters.
It takes something out of you. I mean,
100%,
like
100%.
To keep it going. I mean, that's why you watch like world championship fights in the UFC. And by the end of like round 4, they're trashed because they've already been through 3 more other fights by the time they got there. Like, yeah.
Yep. And so what else? What other good matches was there?
I mean, we saw some of Musimichi's wife training out of.
That's his sister.
Or sister. Sorry. Whoops.
Gross.
Ew. That was my bad.
Alabama.
That's how much I pay attention to things. I could be in the room. I like paying attention to the sport as a whole and watching what people do, but I'm terrible with names.
Jacob Couch.
I meant to circle back to that because I found
Kenan Duarte got the decision over Kyle Bame. He threw some good like leg lock attacks at Kyle and had him having to defend. Mason Fowler got a decision after he got half of a finger stuck in his eye socket.
Oh man, I forgot about that. That was
why he was out the next day. He could have jumped in for a consolation match too, but he was out. And I think that's part of it too. I think the consolation matches were not as good as they could have been because guys were injured because they had gotten hurt, and some guys just didn't go because they were not wanting to be in it. They'd already had their feelings hurt.
Yeah, more of the ego beat up.
Yeah, for sure. But to me, man, like $7,500 on third place is a good day.
Yeah, I guess that's I was gonna argue the point of like are they even really necessary? But yeah, $7,500.
I say it's not just
hell, Ricky, you can be third.
I mean, it's not just a pat on the
fourth,
back.
fifth. Hell, there's even last.
I mean, there's that already, right? But if you're healthy, you could have came in and got third, maybe, and then took $7,500 home, that's a lot for a grappling tournament.
Yeah,
especially one that you did not win. But all in all, great show. Excited that it went down. Not the biggest fan always of the flow system and the way they do things, but I guess it's kind of like they have it right now. So you just kind of deal with what they do to kind of watch it and have it. It's kind of a strange thing to be paying so much money for a subscription to something and then watch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like if you want to watch football now, like you got to pay for different subscriptions to have like access to it. You can't just like sit down and watch a football game anymore. So like it kind of feels like what everybody's doing. I mean, they do sort of, but like any of my friends that like really keep up with football, like they have to pay for some sort of ESPN Plus or something. Like everybody's going to some sort of limited access right now, like because there's no other way to get paid. And building stuff like that costs money. So like I get their point, but like I can see it both sides. You look skeptical.
I'm super skeptical.
This looks like your skeptical face.
Those flow guys are still sus to me. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure I trust them fully, and that does, that's fine. I'm sure there's some great people or whatever, but like, I don't know. They advertising and all the stuff, and still charging everybody X amount of money and not allowing any. It's just I don't know. They do a lot, so it's hard to say. That's what I'm saying. They do a lot of stuff, so I understand having it that way, right? But
some businesses are motivated by culture. Some businesses are motivated by the bottom line. Either way, sometimes it moves the culture forward. So
I'm not mad at it. I pay the subscription. I guess I wish there was
watched
a better access to other things, and it was.
The whole thing about like jiu-jitsu getting weird, this is a weird segue, but like when you're talking about the like value of jiu-jitsu, and
I guess they paid the people a lot of money this time, so that's the one thing
it makes it better. I'm
totally okay with it, and that's why I was all right. It's like, all right, they're giving away X amount of dollars to the
$7,500 for third place. All right, that you can't shake a stick.
And that's what I'm saying. So like before that, it's like, all right, what are you doing? you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So I'm not always like on board with everything that they do, but with this thing, I was like, all right, this is cool. There's a ton of money going to competitors, which is great.
Well, it's like cool. Have you seen what the football has done with the NCAA? I recently just saw this where when you go to like you're a player and you're at your game or whatever, and you've posted your highlight from that game or your picture from that game, if you like do a hashtag, who was it? I think it was Arby's. They were like hashtag I'm getting Arby's. They're pay. That's how they're finding ways to pay the players through the digital platforms in this new rule set of how NCAA allows for the players to make money off their names. So like it was an interesting model that I've seen. That's
how
like,
much do they get?
I haven't dug that deep. I can Google it real quick, but like because
I was like, pull that shit up.
I mean, that's better. That's better than what they used to do.
No, definitely, it's a trend in the right direction. I'm not sure 100% sure that it's the right thing to do either. Because a lot of these schools wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for football. They're not even really schools. They're just football teams with universities attached to them, sort of, and whatever. But and I used to love foosball. I just kind of grew away from it a little bit.
The amateur aspect of it when because I mean essentially that's what college football is it's amateur football, and the amount of, you're a professional athlete when I went and played and I saw my friends that got cut for like the dumbest reasons, and like it's a machine, it's run like a business, and the thing is that they treat you like it's this big like opportunity and they're doing you all these favors and you're doing this, and if you don't have the wherewithal to like pay attention on the way in, they'll cut you to the street because your shoulder rolls out of socket chronically, and that's happened to you since you were 11, but you're an incredible athlete, you've got all these accolades and we got you here, sorry, that's a liability for us, we're going to cut you, go ahead and do that before the season starts because we're not liable for it now. So like doing stuff like a business, I'm okay with that if you're paying the other side of the business. And so like that's where I kind of lost interest, was as I started getting out. I was like, oh, like you're just using the free labor of all these 18, 19-year-olds. So,
yeah. And so like the tickets and all that stuff, I mean, I know that funds things at the university, right? But these universities,
yeah,
to a degree, they pay the coaches allegedly, but that's what I'm saying. What are they doing then? Why are they attached to these schools? And then why do people still have to pay so much money to be able to go to these schools if, you know what I mean, they're not paying these athletes and then they're making all this money? You know what I mean? It's sus, just like Flow Grappling.
The kid at the top of this list is still currently in high school, and that's his projected value of his social earnings. I think, what does that say? $670,700.
Women's basketball from UConn.
So like that's the kind of money that they can make off their followers.
I guess that's cool for like,
and that's not even 1 million followers.
Equality. She's gonna dominate. Oh yeah, girls will dominate that. What is MBB?
Anyways, yeah, I'll send you bunches of articles. There's stuff talking about how like this is gonna kind of change it, and it's like finding ways to pay people through. It's like with these the way that they pay they've replaced how they used to pay supermodels with these the influencers.
Annual earnings north of $670,000 for this upcoming freshman.
Yeah. So they're still in high school.
Instagram post alone is valued at $20,710
$10.
I'll take $10 a post, son. What's up? Great day.
Yeah. These are high schoolers going into college, and that's what their potential earnings are, and that's what they were arguing that they were taking away from them by not allowing them to capitalize on this, because it's the whole argument. Like when I was at Auburn, people would go buy a Cam Newton jersey. They didn't buy it because it was an Auburn jersey. They bought it because it was Cam Newton's jersey, and that's what mattered. And so, like, the fact that he didn't get paid for that, that's what was atrocious, in my opinion.
I got more followers than some of these cats that got posted up here, and their values for their posts is
I've sent you breakdown stuff. That's where I get these numbers when I send you that stuff.
Hey,
articles like these.
My mind is just like
blown.
I'm confused right now. That's crazy, bro.
But see,
that's good for those kids.
So that's a
perceived.
But see, that's perceived value. You have to find a buyer for that. You can charge that all day long.
Okay.
But you got to find somebody that goes, okay, yeah, it's worth that.
It's got to convert to dollars.
I can have this rock over here.
It's got to convert.
Right. This can be worth $1 million. King Tut carried this rock around. I'm telling you. Like, it's worth $1 million. Well, if I find somebody else that believes it's worth $1 million, then it's worth $1 million. So, like, that's what the market value is for these Instagrams. But, like, yeah. And it's like engage, and like that's what I mean when I tell you is like when you talk to people, they're talking about eyeballs. They want eyeballs. This sidetracked from who's number one real quick. You told me to keep you on that.
It's about I think I was pretty much done with it.
Oh, okay. But we're talking about people getting paid, and like that's kind of like it's a good segue.
It's an interesting model because it does tie into what a lot of people do with our sports and stuff. It's kind of, I mean, it's in a way the MMA thing that people would do where they would just pay you off tickets. You know, and you could sell tickets, and if you sold tickets, you got paid.
Yeah, but the hard part is what if you're not from that town and absolutely no one knows who you are?
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like that, but then you'd have to be the hometown person, or then a big star, and people would want to come see you, which is
hard to generate
on the way up. Yeah, right? So it's interesting, man.
Not when you're there to beat up the hometown hero,
right? Yeah, which is always kind of the case for people who don't have a promoter in their back pocket. You know what I mean? You always got to be the guy to beat the guy.
Yep.
So you can figure that out, or you got to be able to sell a bunch of tickets somehow already. It's a weird thing, man. This is interesting compared to what I kind of dealt with. And I spoke about that before. I guess came up with that whole trying to not look like a poser thing.
Nose to the grindstone. Do the work, and it'll come to you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But it would have been funny now to have a little bit more promotion. I guess now thinking back on some of the stuff we used to kind of do, it'd be funny to have it and like look at it and see what it was like.
Well, in the social,
at least like a time capsule.
Well, in the social media game too. Like, I mean, imagine how that would have helped you guys to like promote the stuff that like, you know, now we're capitalizing on and talking about versus like in the moment, like where like people would have been like, oh, that, which I'll go ahead and tell you from documenting things, like a lot of times people aren't like, oh, that's cool. Like 4 years later, they're like, that thing you did. You're like, yeah, I did that like a while ago.
A long time.
But like if you were documenting the whole time, when people do catch up with you, they can fall back on this big library of like, oh wow. Yeah. And it just makes it that much more valuable. Yeah. That's where I see the success stories in this stuff is that like just keep doing the thing.
Super, super, super interesting. Wow. I don't know, man. But speaking of that stuff, follow us to Costa Rica, man. We're heading there. The 10th through the 16th are the like official days, with 10th and the 16th being travel days for most people. I'll be down there like a day or two early just to kind of get my eyes and hands on stuff to make sure that it's closer to how I think it needs to be or whatever. And, you know, super anxious right now. I wouldn't say an all-time high, but very high when I think about it. And then, you know, trying to make sure we're doing the right thing. But saying that, we're gonna take a hiatus for a week or maybe two from the Dream Show Live. We're gonna be doing a ton of recording though while we're down there.
That'll be season 2 of the Dream Show, from what everyone is familiar with on Stephen's channel.
Yeah, it's similar to what we did with the PGF, but without all the fighting and stuff.
There'll still be jiu-jitsu stuff.
Yeah.
So people will fight each other.
I mean, maybe we'll throw down some cash bets there, and we'll get some stuff going. There'll be some tough guys there and girls, lots of tough people and fun people. And so it's gonna be we're gonna do the thing, you know, try some surfing, go to some waterfalls, gonna do some jiu-jitsu, hopefully see some various wildlifes.
Are you gonna try to take a shower under a waterfall?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna take a shower as in like go out there with some soap and water and stuff like that.
I just kind of want it for a joke for the vlog. So, anyways,
I mean, I'll do it. Sure.
I heard there's in there a horse ride that goes back into the jungle.
You can do that.
Yeah.
There's horse rides. We don't really have one of those like planned for ourselves or whatever, but there's
like trails.
There's horseback rides.
Yeah.
There's ATV tours. You can You can goo all kind of things.
There's lots of goo in the jungle.
Yeah, and just it's gonna be really fun. We're gonna I don't know 3 black belts. Yeah, that are gonna be instructing seminars for
I'm excited about
4
LMAC.
days.
I'm excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited for both.
I'm excited about all of them, but like I'm excited to learn some of her pressure.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, I think that's
whatever she's doing.
I hope. I mean, I guess that's what she'll teach.
I more of just mean that like her style seems like her pressure. More is what stuff. I mean.
Yeah, and then whatever Kyle decides to go into, I'm sure it'll be pretty different than things I like to do. So it'll be fun to sit there and be able to like.
What would you describe his style as?
Weird. It's weird. It's really dynamic, dude. He's really like strong and explosive, but he's got a lot of like finesse too. So that's to say, it's weird. He knows how to move. He knows like spatial awareness for himself really well, and it's so unorthodox. It's really hard to get past his guard comfortably and feel like you're doing the right things, because he'll invert or like explode in some weird way and be just like on you, and it's like, shit, I thought I was doing everything right, but now he's over here or on me in a different way. So it's really different, man. He the way that he approaches the game, I mean, maybe it's not as different as I think once I get there and sit down with him again, but it's always looked as a teammate that's rolling against you quite a bit. It was always extremely challenging to get through Kyle's stuff. It wasn't that he was he wasn't like physical in the way of like he's gonna get shoulder pressure and smash you and make it like miserable for you, but it's like, man, he may tap me like 6 times with leg locks today if I don't play myself right. You know what I mean? If I don't get every exchange right, he's literally gonna be in there and on me. And then the couple times I think I had something, he's already got the answer for that too before I could get into some of the stuff, and it was just like, well, I just gotta pass his guard before I have a chance, and get him in those bad positions, or otherwise he's just, on me and I can't stop him. So I'll be interested to see. And like I said, it's gonna be fun to sit down and have a class from him. I didn't really ever get to sit and take one of his classes because he taught in Oceanside and I was teaching in San Diego, and we both taught days mostly, and then we kind of got together at open mats and stuff like that and trained on team training days and stuff together. So we didn't really get to learn from each other in a classroom
in his class,
a class setting. It's mostly like homies trading tapes or whatever, kind of in front of each other,
right?
Yeah, and trying to bounce off of each other in real ways and see what it's like, you know what I mean, versus his style versus my style. And for me, he was somebody that I, like we've been talking about in class a lot, learned how to try to escape legs and defend people entering my legs multiple ways and keeping my base and staying, all this stuff.
That'll be interesting to avoid.
Yeah. He's in the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds this weekend, the 3rd. That's coming up too. And Medusa, which is the new like all females promotion.
That is
Saturday.
Going on.
It's Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, or I guess it's CJJ is Medusa, and I think they're having an EBI.
So that's not. So that hasn't already occurred, right? That's what is
this Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. All right.
The females are Saturday.
Qualifiers
has already happened, and so that's came out too now. The event,
I just kept hearing the hushes.
The event hasn't came out yet, but at the 10PQ, 2 local representatives basically went out there and won for sure. Ryan Aiken and Nakia Jackson. Ryan from 10P Atlanta, and Nakia from Decatur. Both friends of the of the show.
Friends of the show.
And Ryan came down and won the Mid-South Classic that we do. And the Dream No Gi Camp, we sponsored Nakaya this year to try to help out with some of her stuff that was going on. So that was really cool. Just kind of a few months ago decided to do that. And so it was nice to see her successful. It didn't really matter necessarily to me if she was able to win any tournaments or whatever. It was just kind of like an opportunity to try to
just
help.
Out there and rocking the
Just
life. She lives
help.
the life.
She
too.
does for
like,
sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. She's blowing up on TikTok apparently. She's like
TikTok famous.
She's TikTok famous for sure, bro. She's got us all beat.
Yeah.
Like she's probably getting like
Nakaya, like you can
$12 a post.
You can clip this and put it on your TikTok
to
if
Costa
you like.
Rica. Also, she'll be down there.
Catch us on TikTok.
Yeah, hey, follow her, and then my TikTok's not going to be that good, but you can follow me also.
Do you do dances on TikTok?
I don't. Mandy keeps telling me to do stuff, man, but I'm just like,
let's start making TikTok content. I might re-download it. I don't know. I deleted it. It took it was like immediately like, oh, this is not good.
It's too specific. I'll get, my ADHD will take me down ADHD talk, and then I'll just find out all these really weird facts about stuff.
And then you got to go research them because
I got to make sure it's correct and
right.
not something else. And then, whoa, where am I at, 30 minutes later, or then I've watched people cutting down trees for an hour.
I felt more like when I was on TikTok and like playing with it a lot.
Bourbon talk.
Like it felt like I was what?
Bourbon talk.
Oh,
people have.
See, I'm so far out of TikTok that I didn't realize that they were naming them different talks.
It's a whatever your thing is. Oh God, talk.
I'm so unrelatable now. I have a TikTok. I'm on there.
Come on, bro.
Do you follow me?
Yeah, step your game up. No, obviously not. Who are you?
The Daily Stack. I'm the Daily Stack everywhere. Who are you, Stephen? What are we at?
10:46.
We're at 46 minutes. We're doing good. 10:46.
Who said something?
Becca said the first one.
Oh, I get a lot of husband and wife funny couples TikTok stuff too. Apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I like jokes. Oh, I'm at the Dream 10P on there as well.
Okay. Yeah. I think I made it like right before my last fight. So that was like 2 years ago.
I haven't posted in a long time since I did those. Really
How many followers do you have right now?
Followers 380.
All right. What is that? In TikTok land, that's like
nothing.
Yeah.
Basically zero. But I don't tend to it.
But it feels like that it's bled over on all the other platforms too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Now, if you look at a lot of the things people do on other things, yeah, I don't have a ton on there. If people post a lot of what they would post or what they do find on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube, and on whatever their reels or whatever and stuff. So, I mean, we do a little bit of that too. And I guess kind of that's what was. I was just like, I just want to post the same thing again. Like I'd like to figure out something different. So maybe going in there and doing a few jigs or whatever would be the ticket to get chicks. I don't know.
See, I feel like that you could produce it. I don't know.
It's the thing.
The creative in me kind of wants to play with it.
It's the same thing as everything else that you do, though, right? If you're looking for like customers or followers or whatever it is that you're talking about, whatever you do to get them, you're gonna have to do to keep them. So like whatever the thing is that you're trendy about, that you catch on with, like people are gonna want you to do the thing forever. Play Free Bird. You know what I'm saying?
I worked with a comedian once, and like the biggest thing that they always talk about is they're really careful about their jokes getting turned into t-shirts. Because they're like, if you start selling a t-shirt with a joke on it, now you got to do that joke for the next 25 years.
I mean, if it pays a lot of money.
Jeff Foxworthy.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down for it.
He's one of the goats, and I mean, it worked.
I mean, never break kayfabe. Ever. If it works, right? People didn't even know if Larry the Cable Guy was a real person or not. Like they thought that was like a real person.
I mean, I was one of those people that I was like, I knew, but
you knew he was a real person.
I was into the like comedy scene by then. Like, I was paying attention to it when I was a kid.
I watched your Mitch Hedberg guy on YouTube. It explains a lot.
That explains a lot.
What? Why did it hurt?
You were just like that Mitch Hedberg guy.
That's how it is, though.
Yeah,
that's just how it is, though. It's just he doesn't get excited and stuff like that or whatever. And
that's the comedian that I discovered like during and right after surgery when I had heart surgery. When I
I
was a
guess
kid.
I had seen stuff from him before, but never really paid that much attention to it.
Yeah.
And then you just kept bringing it up, and other people would get the reference, and I was like, "What is this?" So
now you'll get my references.
Sorta. I mean, it's just these really funny like observations. It's like observation comedy, which is like, yeah, that's what we do all day. Kind of is like you see something and you just kind of point out how it's funny.
I went in to go get a loaf of bread from Subway. I told him it was for a duck. He said, "Oh, it's free." I didn't know ducks eat for free. That type of stuff.
Right.
If I knew ducks eat for free, I'd order a whole sandwich. It's for a duck.
And that was the thing. You had a whole thing about ducks and bread too.
I have, if I could find them, I have notebooks. Like I thought that's like what I wanted to do at one point. Like I wrote notebooks full of them.
It's funny.
Here, Kara gets it. I used to do drugs. I still do too.
Yeah, that one. I didn't realize that was his, but a lot of people use that kind of thing for a lot of stuff. But this one special was really funny. Like it was I don't know if it was so well done that he kept just talking about how bad the special was.
Yeah.
Or if he really just was like, man, I'm really, this sucks for real,
That's I actually am working on getting to work with a couple more comedians because that's like one of my favorite things to do is to work with comedians.
Dude,
I love getting to go be in the
shows.
But see, I like being in the green room. I like being like seeing when they
that would probably be
like
cool
when they start talking. Yeah.
I'm sure that would be cool also. I just like going to the shows though, and it's funny to see that, and then when we were in San Diego, we went to this one show and this one guy came out and it totally worked though too. But he was just like, man, y'all aren't laughing at anything, man. Those people were all really funny, or something like that. And I was just like, oh damn. Just
see, that's he probably talked about it in the back of how he was going to fix the room or whatever.
Go out there and shake it up.
Yeah.
It's like, but it was true though, because we had came in, we had dinner, and we had been whatever, and we just kind of sat down, and so we were just getting into the flow of the show a little bit, and like
there's a science to it. There's a like being a good MC and being like good at like running everything. Like that's a huge deal.
This guy that was doing the MC stuff, just kind of his jokes were a little bit
they weren't very good. Yeah.
To this particular
crowd
group, to me it was kind of funny, but it wasn't like getting me riled up funny. It was just kind of like, yeah, my homie's kind of funny. You know what I mean?
Oh, bro, I went to so this is when I realized I was getting old. At the time that I was training in Auburn, which is a college town, so like all the guys that were on the fight team were like 18, 19, 20, 21, like young cats. I was
3 weeks.
18 to 21. Is that better? Like they were younger guys, and I was like 25, 26 at this point. And there was a comedian that came into town that was like one of the more like rougher style comedians. I won't name him, but like he's in hot water these days, so just deduct. But like I went to go see him.
Bill Cosby?
No. Oh God. All right, well, we just got yanked off the air. But we went in, and it was one of those things that my buddy basically told me that I was like, he was like, you look like a college student still. He was like, just like act like you're my friend and you can use his college ID. Well, we got there, and his friend, lo and behold, dependable college students didn't show up. So I don't have an ID at this point because you had to have a college ID to go to the show. So I was like, all right, well, there's a huge crowd of people. I'm just going to like shuffle with him, bro. Like I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like I did not look like a college kid. I did not look like a college kid. So like I'm just like shuffling through, and a guy like makes eye contact with me, and it's just like we make eye contact and we both go, oh, we know you're not really in college. And then I just keep walking. And so like I don't know if he just assumed or what, he just let me go. So I get in this thing, and I realized about halfway through the show that I was the only person laughing. for most of the jokes and punchlines. And the comedian actually commented on it a couple of times. And it's what comedians talk about, is like going to like shows where in college, especially this was so like 5-6 years ago, that was right when like woke and everything was coming up in the colleges. And so the comedians were like not doing well in those scenarios, especially in this line of humor. And yeah, that's when I realized I was old.
Welcome to the old club, bro.
Yeah. I was like, oh, y'all don't get that he's funny.
Seth, super funny. The box this morning, his
giant old parachute.
The giant old parachute.
It's a giant 10-foot parachute.
10-foot parachute.
That was great.
Sorry, everybody that was not there.
That was an inside joke. It was a giant 10-foot parachute.
Becca, get out of here.
10.
Get out of here.
As old.
Tell Becca to stop. Just say it.
21 days would be correct. Oh yeah, we're still having the 21-day argument. The people can correct that for us if they go back and watch the disagreement.
There's no correction.
It's on the internet.
It's 21 days. It's 3 weeks.
That's what I said.
I know. She's talking about something else though.
Oh, it was 21 separate classes.
She's trying to interject her point, which does not matter anymore.
Now we're losing the viewers, Stephen.
Are we?
No, I'm just saying that like we're discussing something that no one knows about.
It's a callback.
It's a callback. Go back to the
comedy.
Episode.
We're talking about stand-up comedy. Sheesh, come on, man.
All right, 10 a.m. This is what happens when we're on time.
I mean, I'm just doing things now. But stand-up comedy would be fun.
It's like an art though. Like it's like that's why I like how it ties
I guess that's
in.
what I was saying. Like I was watching the guys, I guess, when we first started, and just like seeing them and like analyzing, I guess, more
the
than
artwork of playing the room
than being like in the jokes with people at first, you know. So I had to kind of just like loosen up and stuff like that, because it was that's what I was really doing, is like kind of we talked about with the musicians and stuff. The craft, right? See how they play the room, see how they pivot or whatever, you know. And there's different things like that really work in a lot of situations. That does kind of diffuse a confusing kind of situation or whatever. You could just kind of bluntly but awkwardly say something and see what happens, you know.
I mean, that takes a little bit of like courage for most people.
Yeah.
I mean, when you first started teaching, did you just like outright jump out and were you always that kind of character to be able to be in a room and talk?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was like,
I definitely wasn't.
Not when I first started teaching. I don't think it was super easy, but I think most of my early teaching was pretty simple stuff, and where there wasn't a lot of like,
there wasn't another
instruction.
Option.
Yeah. It was like, this is what we're doing, and that's it. And then when we do this, we're going to do this and this, and then we're going to fight. And so it over time grew. Once I got more information, then I could talk more about what you know.
But you never experienced like the anxiety part of that?
It depends on who's in the room.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. If it was a bunch of people that I knew more than, nah.
See, I would talk I would be able to talk myself out of going through a drive-through because I didn't want to talk to the person. I can teach a room full of people now, but like I've been there where like,
I mean, I don't like going to other places and stuff like that, I guess, if that's what you're saying. And
no, I more of just meant like the anxiety.
Social.
I was tying it into the being in front of people.
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying, is that there's times I would definitely avoid anything that has to deal with talking to another person. But as far
your wife says that you've always played well to a room.
Okay.
So I guess from an outside perspective, you do.
I'm the GOAT. No.
Good episode. Bye.
No, I mean, I guess so. That's the thing, is like playing the room is one thing, I guess, right? Like being charismatic, you know, that's one thing. But I guess teaching it was different. I guess that's what I meant.
Morphing into that.
I could lead the room, but I
you.
wasn't able to talk about things that well. And I think that's different.
I guess, yeah.
You know?
I could see that.
And that's why I say that it took me a long time to kind of have that realization about coaches. There's different kind of coaches that you need. You know what I mean? Some need to be, you know, like motivational and get you hyped up sometimes when you need that. And then you need the ones that can give you the real like in-depth instruction that you need about the real technical processes or whatever, you know. And I really, once I started understanding, I wanted to be both. I want to be able to get people hyped up and motivated and all that kind of stuff, but also know what I'm talking about, really well, and feel comfortable saying things, or feeling comfortable saying, I'm not sure even, about some certain circumstances, because like some of the body type questions really do stump me. Like people ask about being longer or shorter, or how this works for other kind of situations, and that I'm not sure. And so if there's not, like, for instance, with a shorter person and a taller person, if there's not a tall enough person to do the thing with, like, to scale up to be that much taller than me, it's hard for me to kind of work out that problem with you in front of, with just an answer.
So how do you, have you come across anything that you've broken down like that?
I do stuff like that with Becca almost all the time. I almost have to.
But I guess I was trying to get to the question of, like, do you put like, how do you figure that out? Like, you're not going to go find somebody who's like, 7 foot tall, 350 pounds.
I just watch what she's doing a lot, and then try to ask her to do certain things and see what happens when she does it or doesn't.
So you physically see it, and you're like, all right, now try this, and this.
She'll say something and ask a question, and then I'll try to figure out whatever I can in the moment, and hopefully we'll get a good answer. But a lot of times it's like I'll circle back.
For comparison, you're doing this for a very small person versus you. She's, just for people who don't know, who
5'2", 5'3", something like that.
5'2" or something.
Yeah, something like that. Super short, and I'm 5'11", and 200 pounds. So I'm 10 inches taller. So it will basically be me with somebody that's 6'8". You know what I mean? Super hard to scale, maybe that number. And so then when you're talking about somebody stretching like X guard, this question I guess was the most recent one. What do you do? Or like when the Ashi player or whatever, if you can't split your stance far enough on somebody that's tall, and it's like, you might just be screwed. Like if they just, like if somebody's that much longer than me, I think I've just been in trouble historically. Which
she had come up with like a little leg pummel.
She had her own thing,
that, like she was asking if it works. And it's like, if it works in that scenario,
it's not what I would try to do right here. But there's other things, exactly like what we did this morning. Kind of, it's like, I'm not. So
you help that person pick it apart, and that helps you learn how to. Then you have that data point reference.
It's another idea to throw at another person that has trouble.
She said she's 5'1.5".
That's what I said. Too specific, bro.
It's like
her numbers are like super specific.
It's like I'm 9 3/4, sir.
Super specific. But yeah, so like dealing with that kind of problem is a thing, and then
that's just interesting because you don't have the actual physical data. Like the way that I absorb jiu-jitsu is that, like, I see it visually. You've seen my write outs of like how I write it out. And then also there's the film, which is another visual for me. So like the film part would be how I break it down in that way. But like what you're talking about is like, you actually have the physical data from watching her and telling her, all right, now try this, this, and this. Okay. That didn't work.
You're just looking at what somebody else is doing
in that. Yeah.
And I'm talking about what Becca needs to do.
Well, yeah, I think we missed each other in that point, but yeah,
right. But like you're watching a video on a bunch of answers of what to do, right? Is what you're saying?
No. The film part, I'm talking about my own filming. Like when I'm filming me do something, or filming yourself. Somebody else, or like watching myself from, like, I guess that would be third person, but like being able to see it actual play out. And then like the other aspect that I was saying with you is that like you're like playing them like a video game and saying, all right, do it. And then that's giving you the physical data to be able to teach people of different sizes.
Trying to work it through.
Yes. Okay.
Trying to work out different problems with different people. Yeah. Different situations call for different answers, and taller, shorter, longer.
It was like the example I saw you that you did on the little kid. Like you did an example of the rolling Kimura on, like, I think he's like a 9-year-old, but like the size difference was ginormous.
Mm-hmm.
And so like but you did it systematically the exact same way. And that's just impressive to be able to scale it like that. And
you need to,
yeah,
and then it matters. Like that's what I'm saying. Certain people have really, really freaking long arms, and I don't. So they'll be like, well, what if you can just reach right here? And it's like, well, that would be nice. That would be cool.
That would be great.
Yeah, I would do that if I could, but I can't. And so that's the opposite side of it too. It's like, instead of like being something that's like, well, I don't have a problem with that. It's like some things I do have a problem with. Like I have shorter arms than other people, so I don't get the deepest Darce chokes. Or
I was gonna say, so Darces and those plays are a little different for you.
They're not. Yeah, they're not my highest percentage kind of finishes. It's just not. And neither is.
See, there in my weight class, I've got longer arms, and so like I got through my blue belt on Darces.
It matters a lot, right? And long legs matter.
Triangles and all that kind of
stuff.
Like, oh, bro, Scarecrow, when he got his legs around me, it felt like an infinity circle just wrapped around my head.
But then there's the opposite of that too, where it's like you go against someone like when against Hunter Colvin. And the way he was so small, he could switch his feet in a tight space. And so that's what you've got to teach your people if you're trying to instruct the individual. Sometimes, like with Becca, we could sneak in some small things that we don't have to do. And so we don't need to triangle maybe. Or maybe we only triangle in these certain situations instead of trying this other kind of triangle that's traditionally.
So you learn how to skip the steps so that when people are like, oh, here comes the triangle. Oh, where'd they go?
Well, I just want to hack it for each person. I want each person to kind of hack the system for themselves and figure out what works best for them. Right. And it takes them getting a certain base of knowledge too, right?
Because they have to be able to have the conversation with you. If they can't have the conversation, then they can't learn the system.
And that's been a thing sometimes too, is like the question will come up and I'm like, huh? Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
And it takes a little.
Because you're not speaking the same language.
Maybe we spend 15 minutes in the class now sitting down, chopping up this idea because I didn't quite get what you were saying. And then now we figured it out in the middle of class, and then maybe I did or didn't know what I was already talking about, or maybe we just figured it out while we were talking. You know what I mean? Maybe I gave you the answer you were looking for, or maybe you gave me an answer I didn't have in the middle of that.
Like how is it kept from getting so crazy? Because like, I mean, people laugh and make the joke about the 10th planet system of like, oh, I don't understand that system. It's got all those weird names. But like, how has it gotten from or kept from becoming that? Because I hear the joke, but it's really not. Like if I talk to another 10th planet guy now that I can speak the vocabulary,
once you understand more of the language,
like I can now converse with them, pretty well and never really have hiccups. For 7 or 8 years through jiu-jitsu, it depended on what academy I was talking to. Of like, I would have to sit there and go, okay, how did they learn it? What did they call it? Like it was never. There was never like, oh, we train jiu-jitsu so we can have that conversation. There was always, so how did it not veer with all these crazy names and stuff to getting confusing? Because it really does. Is it Eddie's doing that keeps that, or do all the black belts communicate well enough to where everybody kind of understands who's working on what and how it's coming about? Like, how does that play out? That was a question I had the other day when we were watching the Who's Number One stuff.
It's a language, man.
Yeah.
It's like a language. And so you speak the language of your lineage, kind of. And so if you speak English, then you speak English. You understand English speakers, even if they're not the best English speakers. You can still understand almost pretty much everything that they're talking about, right? But then if somebody speaks Spanish, you need to at least and like now for 10th Planet, let's say the 10th Planet is Spanish and you speak English. The more like of the bigger words you can understand, the big things, then you can ask the questions to get to the other things.
So I guess I've gotten to the point that I understand like the grammatical sentence structure.
Yeah.
And like, so now,
can I have some water?
Yeah.
Like, agua.
But I can be like, I want lemon flavored water.
Yeah.
Like,
right. Exactly.
Thank you, Sarah.
Trying to figure out how to, like, I don't want onions in my food. How do you say that? Stuff like whatever. How there's different things that you won't be able to get away with. And so there's conversations that I'll get lost in. Like I've been in sitting with other 10th Planet black belts and they'll start talking about stuff. And I'm like, wait, slow down. Show me what you just said. And they're like, what? I was like, show me what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then when they show it, it's like, oh, that's that thing.
Maybe too, like it's because they're more the way that it's met in the 10th Planet system guys that I've dealt with might be what I'm talking about. Is that like you never get the well, that's just because they don't know the name of it, they don't go, oh, that's dumb. They just go, okay, yeah, show me. Oh yeah, I call it this, and you're that is a little different, and they're cool with learning a new move.
Yeah, it's just different.
So it never gets like tossed to the side. Whereas
I don't
like,
know.
yeah,
I don't know for sure.
yeah,
I don't know for sure.
Whereas like the lineages that I
only
had
know
been
for
around
sure
would throw
about
stuff
myself.
out. Yeah.
I only know for sure about the things that I've done and the things I can do and have felt and experienced. And then I can lean on the experience of other people, right? When I'm trying to do stuff. But if I come in to teach something and it's not something that I've already kind of worked out, it's not very good. It's not a good class. There's no answers to the questions. It's like, we're just doing this. This is what we're doing. Well, what if somebody that's not what we're talking about? And sometimes that is the way I say it to y'all. I was like, that's not what I'm talking about today, because I don't want to go down.
But it's a contextual.
It's because I don't want to go down the other rabbit hole. I don't want to confuse where we're going today.
It's not ignoring it.
Yeah. If we go there, then we'll just stay there.
It's a different conversation.
We'll just stay over there. Then we don't have enough time to do both things today.
Sometimes I have time. Y'all don't have time. Yeah.
So I don't know if that was always the case for other people, but they just didn't have the tact, I guess, or whatever the word is, to articulate that to their students. Is like, it's just this. Of course you could do that, but that's not what we're talking about. They're just like, just do what I said, kind of stuff. A lot of times, from what I've heard from other people, or just they would ignore you if you didn't.
That's or just be like, oh, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So,
or it's got a funny name. But that's what
been doing that early 1800s.
Cap Track on Twitch, which I don't know who you are because your name is Cap Track, says enjoying the chat, but will the S&P close higher today? I have no idea.
That's probably a bot then.
Okay, cool.
At S&P, man, if I were you, dude, I would throw down life savings on it, bro.
All of it.
Bet
the house.
Bet S&P 500, S&P 1000. What's up?
come get your. Never mind. We're not a.
You got to diversify your bonds.
We're not advising anybody on.
No, that's a joke. Man. I don't know anything about the S&P today.
Finances or anything like that.
But what you can do is, if you find yourself in any sort of accident, personal injury, stuff like that, you can call the Musgrove Trial Firm 678-226.
Oh, I didn't even have the 1994.
You call them.
Call buddy.
They'll hit you up, man. They'll go through your stuff. They'll help you out. They'll make sure you get taken care of. And not saying you're going to get paid, but you're going to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of, and that all your rights are respected and different things like that. That's what a good attorney would do for you. And that's definitely what the folks at Musgrove Trial Firm will do for you. So make sure to hit them up.
Wait, are we segueing out?
I just want to talk about it there. Or what time is it?
Oh,
what else we got?
11:12. But Seth was saying in that conversation, he said he thinks that it's helped him learn all the different languages when you were spending all that time where you spent month long on the flow for the move of each week, and then having encouraged people to explore, to move more in depth and incorporate things and make it their own.
Yeah, we're trying to stay with an overall theme and major ideas that involve one large kind of flow. And I think that helps everybody pick up the idea. And that's what I think the warm-ups do, the 10-point warm-ups. And I think that's how a lot of it works. I just didn't come up in the warm-up, so it's not really how I speak the language.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've seen the benefit of it because my other little sister trains out there in Scottsdale.
Yeah, I'm not, dude.
They're heavy on those.
I have no problem with the warm-ups. It's just not, as I say, it's just not.
It's not what you came up on.
We just didn't learn it that way. Not specifically.
It's repetition, really.
Yeah, and then we may eventually turn a class into the warm-ups class, or do them in whatever sequence and stuff like that, because it's important.
I send them to guys when they're asking questions of hey, this has a lot to do with that question you had on that flow.
If you understand what you're doing, like you said, I guess sort of when you were talking about Tori the other day with me, if you understand the big parts of what you're doing, then when you go into those classes, you can just go right.
But you need that basis.
And then you've already got the words written out too. There's a whole line of terms, the pre-stomp, whatever.
That was the first time I saw anything written the same way that I wrote jiu-jitsu. And I was like, oh my God, people think like me.
Everybody's putting up whiteboards with the flows and stuff like that on there. So it's easier to remember. And that may be something that we can move into too. We just don't have that in our arsenal right now, just on the schedule, because we're doing a bunch of other things, but yeah, that's how a lot of the guys communicate it and understand it. And a lot of the up and coming guys learned it is through their their practice as the warm-ups, you know. And the warm-ups evolve too. They don't stay the same. Like they update, change, and then if something happens or not a new discovery necessarily, but like a new thing that's working comes up, it's added.
Is anything a new discovery these days?
I mean, not really, man.
I mean, anything in life. I mean, everything's kind of been done.
It's situational. Like things happen and you're like, man, you'd have to do a lot to recreate that specific thing, you know? And so that's not something that you would need to maybe add to the whole system of warm-ups, but it's something that you'd be aware of, right? But then there's some things that you see and it's like, oh, everybody can benefit from doing this practice. You know what I mean? And so that gets added into the warm-ups, and some things get added in 2 or 3 times. There's certain like moves, I guess you would say, that show up multiple times throughout the warm-ups because Eddie thinks that they're so important.
Mm-hmm. What would be one of those?
Ooh, put me on the spot, man.
Oh, my bad.
No, just like a lot of the Z-Guard shoot stuff or whatever. Just things that you've seen a lot from me. The same common attacks that show up over and over, different truck entries or whatever come up in different things. I'd have to check the newest ones, to be honest with you, to see what it's evolved to.
Yeah. But like, I more of just meant like like not traditionally, but like in your.
Well, that's saying some of that changes too, though. You know what I mean? It's like breaking or passing and getting up the posture is so important to that double underpass sometimes. So it comes up 2 or 3 times.
Is there just like a meeting of the minds that's like organized, or does everybody just kind of communicate?
So once a year we all get together, and this is my first year, like being in this kind of in the inner part of it, because last year was so weird, nothing happened. But there's like it's a big team meeting called the Eclipse, and all the guys the school owners, moonheads get together, and there's like business meetings and different stuff, hangouts and stuff like that. And so a lot of stuff I'm sure gets done like in that way, but then there's a ton of communication every day, about stuff, and guys care. Like like we care about what's posted and what people are saying, and
y'all pay attention to other guys.
Like, it's important
in a good way, not in a.
It's just because it's important, man. It's just important, and to keep the product, you know, pure and of a high quality, and to keep the value where it's supposed to be, and to make sure it is what it is. You know, you don't want people. And I got in trouble for it as a brown belt, posting incorrect verbiage on a specific finish I got, you know, and I just didn't know. I thought it was the same thing, but it was actually different. And, you know, within a short time, I got a call from Boogie, who got a call from Eddie, who said that was wrong and change it. And so I did, you know, and then it just, you know,
but it's like I said, it's not like a malicious way. Like, it's not like the old school way of where they call you and be like, hey, I saw your patch on the back of your gi and you were over at such and such a school. What are you doing training there? Like, no, they're just being like, hey, you called that thing the wrong thing, or hey, did you know your hand was in the wrong place?
Fix it.
Yeah.
Just fix it.
Yeah. They're not calling you out to like make themselves feel better.
Yeah, no, it's not in any kind of way like that I can tell.
I made a post that I got text from like 3 of y'all in like 30 seconds.
That's right. Streets are
y'all didn't even like it first.
Because it wasn't good.
Hey.
What? You were missing.
It was wrong. It was wrong.
You were missing a very key detail.
The photo missed the detail. Yes. I had to readjust before I got it.
But it's everything.
I get it.
Right. That's what you posted.
That's the important point. Yeah.
Of course you probably did the right thing at some point.
I didn't name it.
But no. And that wasn't even it either. It was just like a technical thing that was like, oh.
That's what I mean. Is like, it wasn't even, hey, go pull that picture down. Everybody texted me and they were like, hey, do you know your hand's in the wrong place? And I was like, yeah, I had to fix it right after the picture got taken. Like, I was trying to take the guy down, and
I wouldn't have posted that picture.
Really? You don't post, like, you don't find it entertaining that like 5,000 times the skateboarder falls off? No. And then the one time he does it is really cool.
I mean, I would have that was a little bit of a joke, I guess. Like, you made me go too serious.
Was I serious?
I don't know.
I have no idea. Which way's up? Follow the bubbles.
My forehead. I would post some wrong stuff, I guess, but not.
No,
really.
I'm not. I wasn't really saying that I was purpose. I didn't.
You was
mean to.
Aware.
It was a cool picture, and I didn't pay attention to where my hand was.
Right. You guys look at everything, right? The grassy knoll.
I pay attention now.
It's important.
Look into it.
Dude, and like it's serious though, because like Eddie he looks at stuff and he sees things, and if whatever, he's followed a couple of the students when I've posted things that they did, because he's watching it, and if you get picked up by some of the other like people, a lot of people are white, like Rubber Guard Assassins has picked up a few things that we do, and that's tens of thousands of like followers, and it gets reshared and shared and reshared, and if you get caught in those loops, that's when you gain 40 or 50 followers within a short amount of time. People love Rubber Guard. Some people hate Rubber Guard.
I was gonna say some people hate it.
It's very polarizing in and of itself.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's just because it's so representative of 10th Planet, maybe.
So what's your feeling on Rubber Guard, just quickly?
With the gi?
Yeah. I recently stumbled across that.
It seems redundant, but I don't know enough about it.
Cool.
It would be something that you would like, of course.
Yeah. I stumbled across it during research for an argument.
Just let it be.
I might. I haven't put the gi on in a while, so. But if I do happen to find myself in a winter jacket, it is getting cool.
I mean, yeah,
I might do it.
If you do both, it's fine, right? It's just extra.
I would be worried about the grip that I would be worried about would be the grip on my pants, like where they can grab your belt line and like not the little make believe belt, your actual belt line where your pants are. I'd be worried they could grab my pants and pin my hip, and then I can't get my body up where I want it to play the Rubber Guard properly. But I think that's where the gubber part comes into play. I think I haven't really dug into this. This is skimming the top of that.
Well, you probably, I mean, it just doesn't make as much sense to play it in the gi.
It doesn't. I could get so much further away from you and just play Worm Guard or Squid Guard or anything else.
Rubber Guard was created because you don't have the gi.
Yeah. So it seems, I get it. I mainly just want to play it to make people mad.
Yes, you do. Typically, that's this whole game, right? It's just a whole bunch of things to try to make people mad. But nobody taps to being mad, bro.
Seth, said that he would just stand up out of a go-go. That he would try to.
I would too. I mean, you can if you're strong enough. Like you can bust out of anything.
Oh yeah.
Like you know what I mean. People bust. Like no guard is the perfect guard. No guard is the best guard. The best guard is the one.
You said something about a guard is to stand up. The first guard, was that you? Didn't you?
Brandon posted that.
Did Brandon post that?
But I talk about stuff like that all the time too. Just forcing people to have to keep you down.
Yeah.
Like you.
What if I just don't choose to sit here?
Yeah, right. Now you got to do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. He posted that, but I guess with Nikaya getting ready for that combat jiu-jitsu tournament from Medusa,
good mindset to have when you're getting hit.
I mean, you don't want to just sit there and get beat up. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's all people have is that they're just used to being on their back and being comfortable,
just laying there,
letting things happen. Yeah. And then once you get to a certain point, you've let that happen too much and you're tired or they're in too dominant of a position, you're about to get mashed, and that's not fun. No, I don't recommend that. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
A guard pass is getting beat up sometimes.
Say that again.
Like if someone's past your guard, you're getting beat up.
Oh, for sure.
And like these guys that like when they go, oh, you're not scoring any points on me, so I don't care if you pass. Well, the points are there because that's a point
it
that
starts
they
to matter
control
then,
you.
Right?
Yeah.
But then also if you just start going ham, you open up yourself to get counters. There's a lot of things that can happen, right? In a fighting kind of scenario that doesn't happen when people are only grappling.
Pete called Seth out about that go stand up.
That's another inside joke, Pete.
Yeah. The comments are getting wild.
It's okay. It's all right. Y'all all just fight each other and keep commenting. I don't care. Talk about this house fire.
Boost it. House fire?
There's no house fire.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, what?
The news. There were 32 house fires today in the United States. It's an epidemic of house fires.
House fires.
Yeah.
Never break kayfabe.
Shouldn't. Can't do it. Cannot do it. I think I'm just gonna just start saying more weird stuff at this point, man.
You want
to
thank your people?
Thank you to everybody who's been tuning into this thing. It's really fun, man. We're having a blast coming in here and just talking trash and about jiu-jitsu and everything else going on. There's some other stuff that that we'll have coming up that I think is interesting to talk about. Obviously, the Costa Rica trip should produce more than enough, fun and interesting things to talk about and reminisce over for the rest of our lives. But man, I'm really excited to do that. So that'll be like at least a 1 week live hiatus, maybe 2 weeks from being live. We'll have to see what's going on down there and timing everything out. But we'll probably be posting some stuff on the YouTube as we're.
Oh, that'll
as we're
definitely
down there
be
and stuff
content
like
coming
that.
out.
Just cause it's gonna be so much fun.
Kajabi.
I'm excited for that. And then check out my Kajabi, man. thedreamnogi.mykajabi.com. I haven't really been advertising it because we were trying to get a few more classes on there a little bit before we keep like pumping it out. But we probably got, close to 20, I guess now, maybe.
Some building up. Yeah.
Somewhere 15, 20 classes that we're putting on there. And so if this wasn't clear, Mandy brought this to my attention. We don't record every single class and post every single class of every single day on there.
It's putting together like the flows from
putting together
week,
most of the classes that contain most of the stuff that we're doing every day. So you're not getting every single class. If you want that, it's going to be expensive and you need to
come to class.
Yeah, you should move to Perry. But you'll get the majority of what we're talking about and updates, and then there'll be some repeat kind of classes and stuff that show up on there, obviously over time, because
you got going to class.
You got to keep doing the same things over and over. But as you see those, there'll be more information added in, things I've learned, tips kind of like we talked about that were picked up for shorter, longer people, things that have happened to me, other people that have went out and competed in things. We got other black belts that come in and train with us, like Taylor coming in and bringing in, his experiences and things from the gi and not from the gi and things he's studying on his own time too. It's really cool to have that. And we're all just like, I see that everybody's like raising their level right now. And so it's really exciting and the future is bright. There's a lot of work that's got to be done still. And always, if you want to be successful and making it to the top. So I'm excited to be able to do that with the people that we have. Putting themselves in their places. So definitely thank you to the Musgrove Trial Firm again, 678-226-1994. They're helping us out for Costa Rica and the show and everything. And thank you to Fox and Hound Fuel. They're helping us out with some stuff for the camp down in Costa Rica. Supernatural Survival Gear. Thank you guys. And Dogfight Dojo for a combined rash guard for the people who signed up early for the camp. Anybody that kind of traded their tickets or whatever, there's going to be some people without rash guard now because I think some small people got traded with some large people or whatever kind of stuff. So not everybody's going to end up with one, I guess. Unfortunately,
might create a secondary market for the rash guards.
I don't know, man. We might just leave them down there and just let it be. Limited edition kind of thing. I'm excited to see what they look like. I still haven't even really seen them yet. So thank you to those guys for that. Who else do we need to thank? Hotel Costa Verde in Manuel Antonio. Check them out, man. They're a really beautiful place. They got some airplanes built into the side of mountains for restaurants and for rooms that you could rent. We got a discount for 25% off for the week that we're there. We're looking to build some long-term relationships with people down there in the area so we can keep doing camps maybe a couple times a year down there in some of these places. It'd be really cool. We already did a lot of the legwork now. Got mats down there that'll be permanent. So stay tuned to the future of all the things coming up from the Dream No Gi camps in Costa Rica. The classes on Kajabi, thedreamnogi.mykajabi.com. You can follow Isaac, the Wandering Grappler, at the Daily Stack. Several projects going on with that. We got the PGF going to come up in the first part of 2022. So we're going to just be busy still trying to put this thing all together, man, and make all the pieces fit. So thank you to everybody who's hanging in, slanging and banging with your boys. We're going to keep doing it anyway because we love it. I guess that's it. Peace. Whisper in my ear, hey, baby, words I want to hear. Tell